Welcome everyone to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host, and with me for all of these episodes of the Skeleton Crew is...
Attack! Sorry, wait. Yeah, it's me. It's Kyle. I knew that wasn't going to work.
Is you, Kyle Gould. Welcome.
Hello.
This episode is episode 7, and it was called We're Going to Be in So Much Trouble.
Yeah.
Which is always the feeling that you get when you return home from an adventure that you were not supposed to be on as a kid.
I know we stayed out past the time the lights came on, and you told us to come home as soon as the street lights came on, but we were playing a game.
Yep. This is a little bit more serious than that.
I mean, they were only in danger for their life half of the time.
Yeah. This is our penultimate episode.
Right?
So we're in the lead up. We knew that they would, by last episode, we knew, they're going to be heading home. They're going to be probably even getting home, and it'll lead into the grand finale of the show.
Accordingly, the climax of the whole entire arc should happen in this episode.
Yes. Or very near to the start of the next episode.
The next episode, if you have the climax happen then, the falling action plus denouement, there isn't enough time.
So do you feel like the climax happened?
Yes, they got home.
No, that's true. Yeah. But I feel like there's going to be a battle or some sort of thing happen.
Look, they have to reclaim the Shire. These sorts of things always happen. Saruman the White has been amongst them all along.
It's very true.
Corrupting and twisting and turning.
Exactly. Do you have any thoughts before we dig into the show?
Yeah, I have so many thoughts, and they are all centered around Jod.
It was a popular thing that was being talked about on Blue Sky and also Reddit last week about whether he can earn redemption. This show is pro-redemptionist. So regardless of what he does, a good writer can redeem a character, obviously. Or a character can come back and apologize and say, look, I saw the error of my ways and I can come back from it. But it was a very, I don't know if he can be redeemed, ? We've seen much more evil characters get redeemed in Star Wars.
Whoever's saying that are a bunch of weirdos.
It's like he yelled at a bunch of kids. Yes. And that has broken their trust. Yes. And from their perspective, he is not a nice man. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have the opportunity to make a new, better choice in the future. That is how humans work.
I'm at odds because I feel that there isn't much he needs redemption for, right? He needs to apologize. But what genuinely heinous thing has he done until this episode?
Until this episode, nothing.
Right.
And the most heinous thing he did was kill Brutus.
Which was this episode. Yeah.
But Han Solo sat across the table and killed Greedo, and he's one of the most beloved characters in Star Wars.
And that's a really good point, Marie-Claire. That is, put this in perspective, because as soon as he kills Brutus, he does say he was a lying, murderous, backstabbing mutineer.
Yeah, he was not a good person, and he would have killed the kids.
Although I don't think his ears looked particularly mutant-like, but nonetheless.
As it stands, that was the worst thing he did.
Yeah.
He did threaten the children with murdering their parents.
Yep.
And then he waved a lightsaber around ineffectually. Yeah, he was not a nice man this episode, but this also, as a parent,
right?
In your lowest points, when you are under stress and you're like, I'm trying to get what I need.
Yep.
You say the wrong things.
100%. He is not even a parent. He is a pirate man boy who does not know the first thing about how to interact with children or whatnot.
And he's done a good job, relatively.
And he spent 5 full episodes adhering to what they wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in charge. We're just trying to get you home. I'm going to do what I can. Meanwhile, they get him into scrape after scrape. They don't listen to him when he really needs them to.
This is when Pirate Bandit from Bluey snaps.
Right?
I just I get it. He's not that you're supposed to be identifying with John in this moment, but I've said bad things in heats of anger.
Yep.
To people I care about. And I do think that part of what his redemption is not redemption. It's just apology that needs to happen. He needs to see the error of his ways and truthfully apologize to the kids.
Yep.
And the internet is so soured on this idea of it.
Yeah.
But it's because we live in a punitive society that doesn't see the genuine nature of apology as valuable.
Or time served.
Yeah.
I loved this episode, though.
I did.
Holistically,
yeah.
From a perspective of where this story has gone and what we got this episode, I kept expecting it to end when the fountain of coins and the dataries spilled over Jod's head and hands. I thought that was the end of the episode. And it was so much better.
Yeah. I loved it.
And every moment through this episode, I felt I was really, really inspired and intrigued. And I felt like the show supported itself as it got us to this climax. And we went through the cloud and returned to Atten, and then went down. You're talking. I know I looked over at one point, and you're reading something about the return of and crossing the return threshold, and I'm like, "What's the return threshold? Which part of it is it the descent into the depths of Atten?" No. What I mean is this show constantly returned across thresholds the whole time.
Well, so they go in and out of the underworld as they enter planets or as they explore new places, as they go into the depths of the soul of the planet.
Yeah.
This is a new underworld that they are going into after just returning to what they think is their normal world. And I'm really excited to talk about what returning through the final threshold, because we always talk about the first threshold when it comes to adventures, because usually the hero he crosses the threshold
of his own door if he's Bilbo Baggins,
of his own door, of going on the adventure, of choosing things. But we very rarely in adventures talk about the return home and what that looks like. And this is visually so appealing how they did it.
Well, because in our modern day media, they cut it.
Yeah.
They get home, roll credits. We don't have time. We don't have the money. We don't have the patience. Yeah. We've already done 2 hours of adventure. We don't have time for another half an hour of getting back to the Shire and finding out that the journey you made and the lessons you learned need to be taught back home to save the people back home.
Yeah.
And we don't get that very often. Yeah, and that's why.
Or the hero rides off into the sunset and we know that the paradise is saved, but we never see them return home, because in the American monomyth, the hero can never return home due to the violence that the hero has now used. It's too violent for the paradise community that they came from. And the return home is really important, because even though the hero might have done violence in the darkness, the blood and the treasure that they found is valuable to save the community. Because,
well, I think you've gotten ahead of yourself, because he goes home, he enacts the violence that he learned along the journey at home to protect home, because he save home.
He learns how to be a wise warrior.
Yeah,
with the darkness within being combined, because this is all about the idea of wholeness. That the darkness that you found deep within the darkest cave of the underworld that you went to is actually the darkness within ourselves. And that together with the darkness and the light, you are a more whole person and thus can use your powers for good.
Yeah, except in the American monomyth where you're not allowed to stay.
You're not allowed to stay.
You have to ride off into the sunset. You may take the girl with you, but you don't get to stay in the village.
You don't get to stay in the paradise that was created.
Exactly. Because of the violence you've brought here that in order to save us.
Yeah, because there is no lesson learned about being a whole. They actually call the phase that you're sort of combined together is the master of two worlds.
Yeah.
Right? You understand death and life.
Right.
You understand death and life, and you're able to do what you need to do to save others and to also be a balanced person. And
it's so weird that they don't get to stay a balanced person in American folk stories.
Like the Western itself is a really good example of that. Yeah,
There's
also,
so many. 310 to Yuma, the shootout of the OK Corral, Tombstone, all of these.
Even superhero shows and movies of the modern era, even Marvel.
Yeah.
The hero is not allowed to stay happy.
Yeah. Heck, even the end of the prequel trilogy, Obi-Wan and Yoda cannot. They have to go off into the sunset.
Until the sequels were made.
Well, then they're called forth again, right?
They were called forth to
resume their duty.
No. But until the sequels were made, the thing that broke the cycle of this, of this like hero lost in the underworld, and that is a perfectly acceptable way to end a myth. I'm not like Joseph Campbell talks a lot about how sometimes the hero just never returns from the underworld. Yeah. But the key is that Luke actually becomes the master of two worlds and returns home and is with his family until they've changed that now.
Yeah.
Because he entered another underworld, another bad situation, and has refused to come home.
Yeah.
He is stuck where he is. And that happens in the sequel trilogy. But the thing is, like, about life symbolically and story is that if a story continues, the hero will continuously be put through trials, have to go on roads. And we ourselves as humans, if we look at our own history as our own personalized fiction and myth and mythology about ourselves, the stories that we tell others, when we look at them in these cycles, we can actually trace when we have returned home and when we are stuck in the underworld. And that's why, like, being stuck in the underworld is a great metaphor for depression, or for when you're at your lowest, when you have no energy, all of those things. And the return home is such an important step because you have overcome the pieces that are standing in the way, the magic flight, the guardians that want to keep you in the underworld, which we run into a few of them in this episode. And you're able to overcome those and actually see the glimpse of what you've left behind. But part of that is that you have transformed as well. And in that entering back into the world, a key realization happens. And that is the setup for how you realize that you are whole. And I'm not going to talk about it until we get to that point in the episode.
Sure. But I think, I think what's really important to note is that there are two heroes' journeys being undertaken.
Yes.
And we are not being shown the initial crossing of the threshold for Jod.
No, he has been in the underworld the whole time.
He has been at war for a very, out on his adventure for a very long time and has known no peace or solace.
So are you thinking we're going to get a backstory next episode?
So I would like there to not be a backstory next episode, but at the same point, this is a show me moment where you're like, the most interesting thing right now is to tell us why.
Yeah. There's also been a lot of speculation that, oh man, what if he was in Order 66? Or, where is he from? Like, a lot of people are trying to speculate, like, how does he have force powers? And
yeah,
trained enough with force powers, but I actually don't even think he's that good with what he can do.
I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
It's very, he is a mystery wrapped inside of an enigma in a chewy Jude Law shell.
I am looking forward to them just telling me the story, because that will be usually better than what I can come up with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will say a few things. Jude Law has done a great job of, even though his lines have been harsh and stern and cruel at times, his face and his expression puts a tinge of doubt on the genuine authenticity of what he's saying. It got to me the point where we were watching it again, where I had to rewind a moment just to see his face again, because I started to think, is he just saying these things by rote because they were things said to him?
Oh, interesting.
And if this is the case, he's been fighting it all along for the first 5 episodes, when finally the prize was before him and he finally had an opportunity there in Tak Renad's lair. He's done with the kids and trying to appease them and gentle parenting. He can't do it anymore because the prize is too close within his grasp.
Right.
And so now he's spitting out all of these really terrible, horrible, cruel things, some of which I wrote down and we'll talk about in a bit. But it makes me wonder if he's meant it at all.
Yeah. Or if like generational trauma, you're just sort of become your father or whoever taught you. And I was like, what if he's Wesley?
Right?
Right? From Princess Bride.
Yes.
Right? Like he is the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Exactly. He is not the Dread Pirate Roberts.
No, he is not.
He's Wesley.
He is Wesley.
Tack Renard is the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
That is my suspicion.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that at the end.
Yeah.
But I have a question before we dig into the very beginning. And that is he even a pirate? He has the shortest of hair. He never wears a hat. He doesn't have any piercings. He wears no gold, no adornment, no tattoos.
Yeah.
The only sword he ever had was a rusty dagger that was taken from him and he used one time, and I haven't seen it since.
He got it back.
He does have it back. But is he even a pirate?
I don't know. He is a mystery wrapped inside of an enigma, like you said.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. He's so interesting as a character, and I'm very thankful Jude Law played him because he gives him gravitas and he gives him comedy and he gives him like very like scary moments where he's very angry, and the moments in this episode were quite well done from the eyes of a child. I should have asked Will if he thought that he was going to become good again. That would have been interesting to ask him.
I can't wait. I'm hoping he'll come and have a little 5-minute tell us what he thought of this show, because I mean, he's 13. He's the same age as all of these heroes.
He's watching it on his own. Like, we watch it. We're like, hey, you want to join us? He's like, no, I'm busy. And then he'll go and like watch it on his own, which has never happened.
Never happened with Star Wars
show.
Ever.
Why? Wow. Whoa. Thank you, Star Wars.
Thank you, Skeleton Crew. I think the one thing you're missing from the great quality of Jude Law is he gives us complication and he gives us a multitude at once. He may be saying and doing one thing, but he's also emoting something else. And so there's constantly internal conflict that we get a glimpse of with this character. Yeah. And that is the most sheer delight to get. Yeah. And the best component of
especially
the writing
last
of this show.
Episode with him like looking at Tack Renard's throne and like his back to the kids, like we felt like he was like trying to decide to be evil. Yeah. You know, like I don't know.
Not be evil, but just like take over and stop letting them tell him what to do.
Yeah.
He's an adult.
I still I'm a serial redemptionist. I still believe in people making up for their mistakes. And so
it's really a sugary cereal that, you know, is not healthy for you.
It's the best kind of cereal.
It's full of whole grain hopes.
Whole grain hopes. I need to make this as a t-shirt. Serial redemptionist.
Yeah.
Or redemptionist cereal. Anyways. Wow. Let's dig into the episode. We've had a lot of pre-chat. So it actually starts out with the parents in the forest.
Yep.
Very E.T.
Yep.
Felt very 1980s anything. Stranger Things, obviously, as homage to A.T. and that period of time as well.
But this is literally E.T. Even the trees are kind of the Pacific Northwest, and the flashlights and the angles of the flashlights. And they set it all up from the beginning with these flashlights coming out of the droids' heads.
Yeah.
Just really well done.
Really well done. And you see all of them working together, and then the droids approach. They hear the noise, but they're still working on the communicator. They've all kind of come together finally to help and get this communicator launched.
Yep.
And the droids approach and threaten them and say, "You will be stunned," in the most friendly manner.
Yep.
Communications beyond the barrier are strictly prohibited. You will be stunned.
You are in violation.
Yes.
You will be stunned.
But Fern's mom manages to release the communicator.
Yeah.
which is great.
In a delightful way of all of them getting stunned.
Yes.
Just love the crash of Wim's dad. Just everybody else kind of like slowly fell and passed on the little communication device. But Wim's dad just, bam, topples to the ground and the thing rolls out of his hands, which is just great because it's the penultimate moment.
Yeah.
Will Fala get away?
And we get a little like this moment of them like passing the torch person to person, which was really well done. And you're like, oh my gosh, are they gonna get it out? And you actually feel that anxiety with the parents, like how, and this has got to be really important message.
It felt a lot like a Dungeons and Dragons game where everybody has to roll the die to succeed at escaping. Right. And it's like, and you failed. All right. And then everybody else roll. And now you failed. Okay. Everybody else roll. Yeah. You failed. Okay. And we're down to one person and she succeeds at her stealth check at the very end. And because everybody else is so bad at stealth and she gets away.
Exactly. But we flashed the kids as the communicator goes up, which is like great. And they're playing slap ball.
Yes. Finally.
And we got to see slap ball. It was great. I would play slap ball.
Not in the house.
No. They were playing it on the ship, which seems more dangerous, but
it really does. Those buttons can do anything and they're not protected.
They don't know what those buttons can do, but
then if you're not playing it in the house where you can bounce it off walls and it's in enclosed quarters, like how can you play slap ball in an open field?
Maybe they play it in a court. Like a squash court or something.
I would hope it's like more like corridors and caves and whatnot, maybe. There is a lot of digging on At-Atten.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a laser quest or laser quest type.
Maybe. Laser tag for sure.
Laser tag, like
I don't know. But it was fun to watch.
It was fun.
It was neat to see it actually in play.
Wim is sad though. Everyone else is having fun and he's sad, and this is his refusal to return in that he's having a moment of hesitation that he doesn't want to leave the adventure. He doesn't want to leave all of the interesting things that have happened along the way. Like, of course, right? And we talked a lot about the refusal to return last episode, so I won't go into it.
But he's also been the one most resistant to change. Everybody else has had a moment where they've had to overcome and change. But Wim has had an eternal hope and optimism the entire time. I will see the good in you. I will trust in the faith that the world will lead me the way that it needs to go and it will all work out in the end. He's had that from the beginning. Everybody else has had a moment of change and transformation. Wim has not.
But his moment of transformation happens this episode, and I love what causes it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's sad he still has to go home and take a test, i.e. an assessment.
Yep.
And he regrets kind of pressing the button that started the adventure because now that means that they have to go home from the adventure.
Or also that all of this happened at all. Yeah. I think it's because he's got a lot of regret with regards to how things ended with Jod.
Right. As well as like, the danger that the kids have been put through. But like Neil's like, we almost died a bunch, but it was a really fun adventure.
Yeah. Well, we almost died. Well, only half the time did we almost die, but it's not an adventure otherwise.
Exactly. We cut to the pirates arriving at At-Atten, and the barrier looks so cool.
What a great, just
the reveal.
Incredible use of the volume throughout this entire episode.
Like putting it in front of things to show beautiful space images and beautiful, crazy images that couldn't be produced easily in front of your face.
Exactly.
So you can also react to it. It's such a good use of the volume. It really is.
Yeah.
And Brutus is ready to space Jod.
Yeah. Still ready to space Jod.
Yeah. He's like, we can't get through this. What are you doing? Yeah. But the kids arrive just in time.
Not just he literally gets saved by that older lady.
By that older lady, yes.
Before the kids even arrive.
And then he realizes, the ship was the key this whole time because...
Does he realize it, or does he just latch on to anything? That's sort of my worry at this point too, is because sometimes Jude Law does a great job of making it look like, I just came up with this idea right here.
Yeah, maybe he's like, hey, this will save me for a little while longer and I can trick... Yeah,
Can I use this?
Yeah.
To my own advantage?
Yeah. The kids are caught in the tractor beam, and we talked about this last episode.
Yeah. But before that happens,
what?
Kelp Farm guy.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm so sad.
They sent out a shuttle to check.
Sent out a fighter to check to see if they can break through.
And that's what is Jod's in danger. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Man.
And they did that to us deliberately. They gave us knowledge of who this guy was.
We wanted him.
And what his want was.
I just want to retire from piracy and raise my kelp.
And oh man, having an ocean of it, that'd be swell, right?
Yeah.
And then they off him.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like this is a Biggs callback.
Maybe.
Because they filmed the scene where he talks to Biggs. They filmed the scene where he talks to Luke, Biggs and Luke, and they share that moment, right? They have that moment. They have that connection. But it gets cut from the original movie, so you never see that when Biggs blows up and Luke gets emotional about it. Then we don't get that, oh, who was that? He must have been important, but we never got that. This time, nobody else seems to care, but we care. Like, at least I care. It was Kelp Farm Guy. I didn't even know his name.
Yeah, it certainly the pirates were like, we're not going in there. Which,
and yet they still go in again.
Yeah,
right? Like
they do send more people.
Yep.
Yeah. The kids are caught in the tractor beam, which you called last episode when you said, well, now they can't escape a tractor beam.
Exactly.
And no, they can't. And are captured. The ship is captured, but Brutus approaches the,
yep,
exit ramp, the
gangplank,
and it's like Chekhov's claw machine.
Right.
It's like we've seen them use it so many times. They know how to use this like claw, like I'm sure it's there to like pick up cargo and all sorts of stuff.
What do you think it is meant? It's meant to gather up the weighted dataries and load them onto the ship, the datary vaults.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, that makes perfect sense.
I think they're only supposed to take a little bit.
I would think they unload one vault into the ship and then it flies. Look, I don't know what they did in the Republic.
I don't know.
How money was properly dispersed.
But you hear KB's voice modulation, you know, threatening the pirates, and it's great. It's another, like, they've learned these tools and they can use them in these ways, and they're trusting in their own natural abilities. And of course...
Didn't she sound like Kylo Ren in his helmet?
Yeah.
I was like, it's Kylo Ren in his helmet.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. But Jod has this moment where he's like, I'm just going to kill this guy.
And there it is.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
I was shocked too. But he was annoying.
Brutus?
Yeah.
I think
in Jod's defense,
what really gets to me is that he had no gun. He shot his gun into space and they shook him and he dropped his gun.
Yeah.
Brutus was unarmed and captured and Jod shot him in the head. This isn't Greedo.
No, you're right.
Where he was reaching for his pistol and whoever shot first wins. Even if Greedo wasn't even reaching for a pistol, he had the ability to do it.
McClunky.
But in this instance here, that's maybe what gets me is that he just straight up kills him.
It was very cold-blooded, yes. But also, Jod was going to be killed by him if he didn't kill this guy first, because Brutus had tried to kill him so many times.
Multiple times. At least 7 times Brutus has tried to kill him.
And Brutus probably would have killed the kids too.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Brutus would have done whatever needed to be done to advance himself and his people. But, and I think they really tried to lay that out when they did that little walk up when Brutus said, if this doesn't go the way you're telling us it'll go, I will kill you. And in fact, I'm just going to kill you at the end of this anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you when all of this is over.
And he's also talked about like killing the kids too. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it.
I think the problem is that Brutus never really felt like much of a threat.
Oh, yeah. No, he always seemed ineffectual.
Yeah. If he had seemed a tad more dangerous and a tad more rage-filled, you don't know what he's going to do at any given moment, and he's dangerous, then maybe. But, wow, he killed the puppy.
Yeah. He shot the puppy. But Jod takes the moment and convinces the pirates to follow him.
Yeah. Another moment of like, I'm just making this up as it goes.
Yeah. And also like, hey, you're going to find 4 scared kids, capture them. So the kids are captured again.
Yep.
And Jod is back with his helmet on, which they conveniently had with them.
I feel like they've had it all along.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's on the frigate. That's their main galleon for setting sail across the pirate ocean waters. But I thought it was really cool because he was like, I am putting back on the armor and the accoutrement of my captaincy, of my being in charge and in power. And it has an entirely other motivation for that. And I have to apologize. Somehow I accidentally pushed the microphone button on my notepad and now it's just writing everything I say. So I lost all my notes.
Can you go back?
Absolutely. No, I'll take care of it. But that was just why I lost my track.
Behind the scenes of Kyle and Marie Claire recording and in our basement. We transition to the parents and as they see the communique come in.
Yep.
They capture the communication buoy and we see the parents sort of message in a bottle.
Yep.
To the kids.
Yep.
And
I like how Jod is not able to really access. He has to push that thing like 2 or 3 times, like it's an iPad, and he's not quite. His gloved finger isn't quite being registered on it.
Oh,
just was such a great moment.
But they go through each of the parents, like basically, like, come home, Fern. You know, I know you worry, but we'll come home. And KB, you haven't had maintenance in so many days. I hope that you're doing okay. And that was really sweet. And then Neil's brother.
Yeah.
Neil, your brother lost a tooth, but he didn't want his data ray. He said he just wanted his brother to come home.
His big brother.
Oh my goodness. And then we have this moment where they explain like how to get home, which is that they have to find a Republic emissary who knows where the location of the planet. And again, we don't know how old this planet is. So Republic emissaries might not exist any longer.
Yeah, they don't know that. But...
they don't know that. But I was like, the only person I could think of that might know this would be Mon Mothma. She's been in the Republic forever.
Right. She's had access to a lot of Republic knowledge and history.
Exactly. And also was pretty high up in the Republic before it fell.
Yeah.
And is still around.
Yep.
So, and is part of the New Republic. Maybe. That was my only thought of who an emissary could possibly be this day and age in the current timeline. And then we get this moment with Wendell.
Yeah.
To Wim. And this is what causes Wim's change. That he now can go home. Because Wendell admits that he is wrong. And says, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you.
It made me cry. Both times I watched the show.
What's going on with you, Kyle?
I mean, I don't know a lot of parents that are quick to apologize to their kids.
We're pretty quick to apologize.
And so, and I think that Wim's dad is also not quick to apologize.
I don't know that he's ever said he's sorry for anything.
He's very logical and very, this is how things are and this is how it will be. And you are but a child and you will listen to me.
Yeah.
And his dad apologizing, I didn't listen to you. You cried wolf. I said you're just trying to stir up trouble.
Yeah. And this is what helps Wim realize, like, there are things at home that have value.
Yep.
And I have value in my father's eyes.
But also what I say matters and people should listen to me.
I have a voice.
Yeah. And that, I think that's something we all want and look for.
Absolutely.
Is to have our voice recognized. Not by Siri. Stop it. Jesus.
The kids call on 33, who has been recently brought back via Jod's orders, and evoke the pirate code
of claimsies.
I call claim. No, I claim.
What's interesting is in the recap, they left I call claimsies in the recap.
Yeah.
So in the bit of the beginning, they're like, claimsies is going to be important.
Claimsies. No, and 33 seems to be totally in on this. He's like, by the pirate code, you cannot be a captain of more than one ship.
Yep.
And Jod's like, as soon as Wim's like, I call claims. He's like, no. I claim this ship. I am the master of the ship. And says many, many words to say, like, I'm very convincing. And then we get the best moment where Fern's like, I call unclaimsies. And I love this so much. It's so like Calvin Ball from Calvin and Hobbes. It's like, no, we're just making up our own rules because, and I claim this on behalf of all kids.
I claim this ship can only be claimed by kids.
Yes. And then Jod's like, I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. And I'm like, this is the reason he's wearing the helmet. Punch.
Yeah.
Right in the helmet.
No, but it's close enough.
I love 33.
Yeah, I love 33 as well.
He's really wonderful. I mean, like you
could just hear the delight in his voice when he says, aye, Captain Fern.
Aye,
like
Captain Fern.
Waiting to...
Well, I mean, Jod sliced off his head. He's going to like hold it against him. Droids have feelings and feel pain.
Yep.
My dudes.
Yep. It's
my
evidence
droids.
From one of the first moments we see droids.
Yes.
in Jawa sand crawlers.
Yep.
So I was shocked though.
This is so good.
Yeah. When he readied his arm shields and charged forward and dumped the 3 bodies outside the ship, I was living the high life.
They did it so well.
The kids have reclaimed the ship. We thought they were gone for. We thought they were done for. They start readying to fly out.
Again,
Jod's
like
at
Fern's
the wheel.
power of like this ability to like manage droids and get them on her side, like it comes into full force. Like, so we've seen KB do that. We also saw Wim just rush in. Oh, I'm sorry, we should have talked about that moment.
After the chat,
we do have this moment where Wim bull rushes because he's like,
Fern is the one literally talking. Like, we need to plan this out. We can figure it out. We need
to get home.
We just need to make a plan.
Yeah.
And then literally Wim shouts out, Leroy Jenkins, and charges into the fray.
That is an old reference. An old World of Warcraft reference. Leroy Jenkins!
A 20-year-old reference.
He doesn't say it actually, but he does act like that. Like he charges into a room full of adult pirates.
To the same efficacy as Leroy Jenkins.
Exactly.
An entire party wipe.
And then we have the moment with 33, of course, because the kids are all captured again. But Wim being the one who can rush into things is also part of his charm too.
Yeah. Also, it's just a great other signal. Again, Jod could have killed them. And once again, he says, tie them up. It's useful to have hostages.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need hostages like that. He is just making stuff up so that he doesn't have to hurt these kids.
Exactly. But they're kicked off the ship and somehow he manages to get back on board, which is really great. But the kids are leaving with 33.
And what's great is the first time we watched that, I was shocked when he suddenly appears. Like, whoa, he's here. Like, he doesn't activate it. How did he get on the ship? He's there suddenly. But you watch it again, they lead you up with every single moment. You get to see him land with the other ones and he shakes his head and takes his helmet off and gets up to run. You see those moments, so you know that he's made it onto the ship.
And the pirates don't know where he went because they try to like calm him and like
Captain Silvo, where are
Captain
you?
Silver, where did you go? Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of it's masterful storytelling from that perspective,
from a visual perspective, and making sure that all your crumbs are cleaned up.
It was really well done. But we enter the barrier, which this is what I was looking up earlier. So the two worlds, the divine and the human, can be pictured only as distinct from each other, different as life and death, day and night. The hero's adventure out of the land we know into darkness. There he accomplishes adventure, or again is simply lost to us, imprisoned or in danger. And his return is described as coming back out of that yonder zone. So like crossing the barrier is absolutely this experience of returning to something we're super familiar with, and the planet itself looks very Earth-like. And so going through the barrier itself and then seeing the world, and then they're even shocked. They're like, it's so big, and it has to be quite hard to go through the barrier. It's another magic flight because there is the barrier protecting sort of defense mechanisms, which are the red stars when they look up in the night sky, which is so cool. But
do you think all the red stars will go green at the end?
That would be so cool, because the one did go green when they did the ship, and maybe
allowing
that's
them freedom and
maybe
either way.
That would be so cool. So this is the key part. So the hero, upon the return, understands that in the end there is no difference between the darkness and the light, that it's all just an illusion, that things need to be separate, and it's actually all one system, because you've returned home, but you're still part of the larger universe that you're a part of. And this is whoever wrote the show, of course. It's Chris and
Ford and Watts.
Chris Ford and John Watts. They add in this quote from, or when Wim says, it's not a pirate ship, it's an Atten ship, to show the thing that I thought was the darkness is actually part of my home.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with this. It was so well done. Jod appears with the lightsaber.
Yep.
We talked about that a little bit. Does he really know how to use it?
No, he has no idea other than to keep it
away from him.
Put the pointy end in the other man. I think that's the only thing he knows.
Yeah. We were both very concerned he was going to sit. So he takes off 33's head. Right,
which was shocking and brutal and all, like, but he can put his head back on. It's okay. 33 can be fixed.
Yes.
But we're okay there.
We were very worried about his rat friend.
Right, because his rat friend yells and it literally looks like he's going to stomp him.
Yeah.
And then he just kicks him aside gently, just gently taps him aside. On second viewing, his foot goes nowhere near stepping upon the little eye socket rodent. He literally, his foot is turned the whole time and he just brushes him aside, almost kindly.
And this is kind of the most terrible moment that we see from the perspective of the kids.
Yeah.
He killed their friend.
Yep. He's slain their defender.
He's slain their defender, and he yells at them, and then he threatens their parents.
Yep. He threatens them, then he threatens their parents.
Yeah. In a absolutely beautifully mean way.
Yes. In a beautiful, mean way, while a whole bunch of weird things cross his face while he says them, and he waves a lightsaber in the most beginner way possible.
Yes.
I literally quoted, you wrote down some of the things that were said earlier. I wrote down some of the things that Jod said.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is going to be relevant, because he points at him and he says, poor boy, to Wim. And then he calls them all weak, sheltered, spoiled children. And I can't help but wonder if he's saying these things to them.
Because he's saying them to his inner child, who he had that said to.
Because they were said to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we know that, we will be more forgiving of Jod.
Yeah. So 2 things about that. I think Jod is his real name.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he gave those kids, the real self.
Yeah.
When he first met them. Deliberately or unintentionally, you never know with Jod, but I think some part of the inner Jod spoke to the children, and the children spoke to the inner Jod, and so he gave them his true name in a way he never gives to anybody else.
He doesn't give power over himself to anybody else.
And I kind of want to wonder, God, I hate speculation, and then I find myself doing that every single episode this season, and I've been wrong so beautifully throughout, which is great. I love being so wrong, but I do wonder if Tak Rened was his dread Captain Roberts.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
And then makes me wonder if he was not allowed to go on the trip to Atten because he was punished or had done something wrong and was left behind. But then why doesn't 33 recognize him? Maybe it's because he was a tiny little boy.
Yeah. Also, why didn't you know where the lair was? And
But
yeah,
we haven't seen the supervisor yet.
I know.
Is the supervisor tack-rented?
A lot of people think that.
Oh man, I thought I was all unique here, but if a lot of other people are proposing that tack-rented is the supervisor.
I still feel like we're going to see Tack Renard again, like either in holographic form or whatever, because we haven't had that reveal yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't matter, but I don't know.
I want the next episode to be the supervisor saying, "Put that lightsaber down."
He sent the droid to go get the supervisor.
I know.
So I hope.
And a light refreshment.
And a late refreshment, please. Yes. Jod drinking on the job all the time. We cut to the security droids in the assistant supervisor's office for Vern's mom's office.
Which is jail.
Which is sort of jail, yeah.
Only jail they have.
Why did you release the communications device? And they're like, because you droids never listen. And they're like, we're always available.
Please hold.
Stand by. Which was so funny. I was like, oh, perfect writing.
Yeah.
Because the supervisor comes on and says, an emissary is arriving from the Republic. Please stand clear. And yeah, like, I was
Has this happened in the
shocked.
lifetime of anybody there?
No.
Because all those people were in a park. And suddenly they are sliding down the edges of a park.
They didn't know that was going to happen.
No.
And it really reminded me of like the X-Men mansion. And,
Nice with the basketball court.
Yeah, in the basketball court. And
it reminded me of the Titanic and people like sliding off the Titanic because it really got to a pretty quick peak pretty fast.
They didn't know that there was a landing pad there.
I was expecting a Propeller Man moment, and I'm really glad we didn't get one.
But we do have this beautiful moment where KB's moms are like, KB's like, we see her. Oh my God. Yeah. So that was really good because now we have the parents like feeling like, oh yeah, okay.
Did you hear what KB's parents said to her in the holo? Because a lot of other like antagonistic things are being said while her parents are talking.
Yeah, it was all about them worried that she hadn't had maintenance.
You're not going to be able to have maintenance for a while. So have your friends help you keep it dry.
Right.
Is what it said.
And she went to the hot springs. Yeah.
Yeah. And got all corroded.
Yeah. The security droids arrive where the emissary ship is landing, and instantly Jod's like, hey, I need to contact my ship. And they're like, ignoring you. Hello, children. Off-planet travel is not permitted. We will alert your parents. It was like instantly they understood who these children were and like that they could, like, they weren't in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
They would just be like, oh, you naughty kids, you shouldn't have gone there.
Yeah.
Wild. I have a lot of thoughts generally about the droids and preventing people from going on their heroes' adventures, right?
Yeah.
Or their adventurers' journeys. They are the threshold guardians of this entire planet changing.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see that probably next episode. I'm actually wondering if the change is going to have to be that they get rid of the security droids.
I don't know.
And the program, right? So I'm mulling that over a little bit because of the role that they play in keeping the society locked in place.
Well, they are the institution that keeps its populace institutionalized.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a prison in the end. And the kids will help the parents see that.
Yeah. But is it a prison of your own making, right? Is it a prison of your own choosing? That's why I kind of like the idea that Tack Renard, the fiercest pirate in all the world, has chosen to take over, to just be the supervisor of At-Atten, because none of the wealth of At-Atten means anything. Like, they have peace and security and protection and quiet
enough to live,
right? Especially if your whole crew has mutinied on you and your concubine has stabbed you before your duel. Like,
there's a lot of things,
good reasons to like give up the pirate life.
And Jod's like, so first things first, we got to go. And the droids are like, no, we must go to the mint first. Protocol says we must go to the mint first, and we get this beautiful descent into the darkness, but also we get to see the mint.
Yeah.
We get to see the creation of the data rays, and we get to see down into the vaults.
So far down. we're descending into Gringotts here.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And another use of the volume to show.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful way to show the experience.
Yeah.
And literally the volume looks like that. Like it's a 360 experience.
Yeah.
And
it feels exactly, if you go on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disney World, it is just like that, right? Because we were there in front of it and then it just opens up.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool.
And he asked to speak with the supervisor and get a light snack.
A light refreshment.
Late refreshment. And also, you know, he's like, hey, can I get through this barrier to communicate? But no, you have to speak to the supervisor about that. It's all the supervisor. We have our protocols, which is take you to the vault.
Yep.
So they go to the vault and they arrive there. And, you know, this really reminds me of the Joseph Campbell line that the treasure you seek is in the cave that you are afraid to enter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the wrong treasure for Jod, obviously.
Well, that's what so he is overwhelmed and overcome and spilling Datery's
oh my God, that
raining
moment
gold coins down upon himself.
Beautifully acted.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so great. Pieces of 8 falling and just sheer delight. But while he is getting his treasure, our kids are reunited with their parents.
It was beautiful.
And that's the treasure.
That
right?
is the treasure, yeah.
That is the culmination of this journey, the reconciliation between parent and child, and the desire, the want of all of these people is being realized at the exact same time. All of our central heroic figures, the parents, the kids, and Jod, are all getting what they want right then and there. But it's not what Jod needs.
No, it's not.
This is the lie he's told himself to be true.
Yes, this is the lie he's told himself. He does ask how many vaults like this exist, and there's 1,139.
Yep.
Which 1138 is a very special number in Lucasian mythology.
Oh, yes.
It is everywhere in Star Wars because of THX 1138.
And what is THX 1138 all about? It's all about an overarching control and robots and what is going on in that Atten.
And everyone's like, will one of the vaults get destroyed? So then there's 1,138. I actually just think it's smart to call it 1,139 because all the nerds will be like, oh yeah, I wonder what's
They'll
happening.
see it and they know. And it's one step it's one step later than THX 1138.
This is like the new time,
right?
The new story,
right.
Like something
advanced. One will be 1,140. We'll just keep moving up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like making a joke about the meaning of the universe being 43.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. Yeah. The answer to that question is 43 is a really good way of calling out to somebody that knows that it's 42, but you can't Google that. 1139 won't Star Wars 1139 won't connect you to the other dots. It's this beautiful way of showing meaning to people who know, but also just giving you
a number,
basic color and a number.
Yeah.
And also showing the gross, extravagant amount of wealth. This is just one. And I was thinking about it too. Like he walked up, that was one vault. He walked up to one little chest of Dateries. The top layer of all those Dateries was more than we'd seen the entire show.
Yeah. And a handful that Wim and the kids have all had.
Yep.
Did so much and was like enough to like retire.
Yeah.
Like
and even that
inflation is what caused the sequel trilogy.
And even that, I'll just point out the contents of that vault and all 1,139 vaults is probably still not the personal wealth of Elon Musk.
Yep.
So recognize that's also happening at the same time, that we're seeing this wealth.
Fair.
And we're seeing this be the culmination of the thing that Jod has told himself that he has only ever wanted, a fair reward, or a little bit more than that, from the get-go, after he stormed in and got 1 credit on that first ship. All of these credits, it's not what he's wanted. It's not what he's looking for.
Nope.
And what an ending to this episode.
with Wim hugging his dad. I mean, we were expecting hugs, but
Yeah.
Wim hugging his dad was like perfect. And the music is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Good job, Mick.
Oh my
Jake,
God.
you know.
It was original Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was not the original trilogy. It was original and Star Wars.
Yeah, it felt Star Wars. It felt beautiful and touching and gorgeous. And I want to think about the music more in this moment because
Please start releasing these soundtracks, people.
It was beautiful. And then we have Jod approaching.
Yeah.
And he pulls out the lightsaber.
I also want to say about the music just before we got to end on that, but I think it was original and it felt Star Wars because it was really well tied to Star Wars. And I think it's original because when do we ever have this?
Never.
When do we ever have
parents return with their kids return to their parents? We don't have that in Star Wars.
Right? We never get that. And so that's why this music touches in a certain way, is because this moment touches in a certain way that we just don't get.
We just don't get this a lot. And this moment is all put in danger by Jod pulling his lightsaber. Again, he doesn't seem very good. If I had to speculate, I'm going to say that the supervisor is going to interrupt this situation or the call to the supervisor's office, because I don't think he's actually going to do anything bad to the parents.
This show isn't about that.
No.
If this is, my 13-year-old's not going to be happy having seen what they've seen. This is a great cliffhanger to end on.
We have to fear, but I don't fear.
Yeah. I hope it's not the supervisor interrupting, because then I won't get a feel for why Jod did it. Why did he pull his lightsaber out and threaten, like...
You want a monologue?
I don't need necessarily a villain monologue.
You need justification.
But I would like to know what threat he's trying to impose at this particular juncture.
He has tons of power in this situation anyways, because he's considered to be the emissary.
Right.
And essentially could be like, all right, you droids, load up the ship.
Yeah.
I'm taking this back to the Republic.
But he drew the lightsaber and turned it on.
Because he wants his whole frigate to be loaded up. He wants more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he turned away from it all and went to go interrupt this reunion. So we will see what we get. I'm afraid that it's just going to be washed away as to why he ignited the lightsaber, because it is a really cool cliffhangery way to end it, but how do you justify why Jod did it? So the supervisor suddenly appears and uses the Force to pull the lightsaber from Jod's hand and says, "Jod, my boy, what you doing here?" And it's Tack Rennet himself. Like,
I'm not betting on that happening. We'll just say that.
I mean, the odds aren't zero of that as being our next step.
No,
but
because we do not know this story.
No,
but
we don't.
I think Tack Rennet's really old.
Yeah, I don't think Tack Rennet is a Jedi.
No,
who and that was his lightsaber. I think that was a prize.
Now
that he
I want the
put in
pirate
his lair.
Stories of Tack Rennet and his concubine
and his first mate. And all of his crew and 33.
I want the Tack Rennet stories, please. Tell me some pirate stories, please.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Right?
Please. Tell me the stories.
Space smugglers are just pirates in a different term.
Yes.
Wearing slightly different clothes. But space pirate is not Jod Jarnawood. Narnawood? Yeah. It's not Jod.
Mm-mm.
He looks more like Wesley. It's true. He's dressed more like Wesley, and Wesley doesn't look like a pirate either.
He also wears a mask.
Yep.
To start. Much to stew on until next episode.
But I loved it.
I loved it too.
And I really, it's hard because you watch these shows, and I watch them several times before we record, and I think long and hard about them, and it makes the rewatch a little bit trite, because I feel like I've consumed the media and allowed it to consume me.
Mm.
And so it makes it like I felt this way about WandaVision lately, where I'm like, oh, I really want to watch WandaVision again. But I recall WandaVision. WandaVision is an internal core part of me. And so do I need to bear witness to WandaVision again to experience it? Because I already have those experiences.
Yeah.
So but how can you not want to watch this again when it's all done, especially?
I mean, our eldest hasn't watched it yet. And I would rewatch it if they wanted to watch it.
Yeah, but that's one of those moments where I'm going to watch it, but I will only have it out of the corner of my eye and I'll just be watching them the entire time. It's one of those ones where like I need this moment where you're experiencing these things for the first time, because I will never get those to experiencing those things. Like a friend of mine was recently just talking about friends of theirs watching Lord of the Rings for the first time and Gandalf falling during the fight with the Balrog, and they're all weeping thinking Gandalf is dead. And she was literally like, oh, I wish, how do I go back to that moment where I too can have that genuine feeling and emotion, knowing that it'll be readjusted and I'll get that moment of like when I see him step out as Gandalf the White.
You can never go home again.
No, but I really would like to see Jod the White.
Interesting. I think we've talked out this episode.
Thanks.
Kyle, where can people find you if they're looking for you online?
Can't find me. I'm in my basement. I'm hiding away and wait, attack!
Online. Well, the internet still exists.
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky, where things are kinder and gentler for the moment. It's getting worse every day. And you can find me Tavern Tales is my user ID.
Take care, everyone, and cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host. Our music is orchestral music by Christy Carew for What the Force. You can support the show directly on Patreon at patreon.com/whattheforce. We'd like to thank all our patrons, especially those who love and are obsessed with What the Force: Adrian, Sarah Joy, Scott, John, Sophie H., In Wild Space, Minky Moo, Derek C., How Rude, Neil, Christian, Luca, Carly Ann, and Scott C. Support the show by wearing the Force with our merch. Like and subscribe on YouTube, or leave a 5-star review on iTunes or other pod apps. It helps people find the show. You can connect with us on Blue Sky at WT Force, What the Force Podcast on Facebook, or on our website, whattheforce.ca, or Discord. Links are in the liner notes. Feel free to reach out and start a conversation. Cheers.